Hey everyone, Billy here. Recording this again because apparently my video did not, when it processed, get sound to it. Kind of frustrated about that. But thank you to William Perkins for letting me know in a message. So thank you for that. So I'm going to do this again. I picked for the first two, I picked question 2 and question 4 for chapter 2. And then for chapter 3, I picked question 1 and 2. So I'm going to try to get right back into this. For chapter 2, question 2 is explain the four purposes of nonverbal communication by giving a concrete example of each. These are all on page 25 and really easy to find. The first function is to express emotion. The book gives a clear, really good example for it. And so, say, your friend or family, they kind of think something's up and they go, hey, what's wrong? And you say nothing. But your face is sour or, has some negative emotion to it, it's going to portray what you said and they're not going to believe you. Because your body is showing that there is something wrong. In the work world, we want to keep a relatively neutral or happy expression on our face most of the time. And, certain scenarios call for different facial expressions, but for the most part, you want to stay happy or neutral. Second function of nonverbal communication is to convey interpersonal attitudes. Funny enough, my notes here that I have just say use the example from the book. The example in the book is there are two employees that are both working for a promotion. One of them is sitting there observing one day. The other coworker goes straight to their boss early in the morning with all the issues. The boss is not really responding, having to ask her to repeat things, visibly getting frustrated. And the other coworker that's observing this notices he's doing this because he hasn't had his coffee yet. After he has his coffee, he's good. And so she starts to, talk to him after he has had his coffee and seems more relaxed and focused. When you are in a professional workplace, you do kind of want to keep an eye on patterns of people, especially people you talk to. If they're one of those people that are like, hey, don't talk to me without my coffee, don't talk to them until they have their coffee. Simple as that. Or they're probably too tired, or, their day hasn't fully started yet, and you're just confusing them. Third function is to present one's personality, such as a character, disposition, or temperament. The book here explains different characteristics of the job. It even asks, still page 25, would you expect a librarian to give the same amount of service as a server at a crowded bar? No, I would expect a librarian to usually being quiet or reserved and usually only help when asked, and they continue with their job. So if you're at a bank, they're going to be nice and happy, but they're going to try to more talk to you about your accounts and your money. They're not going to strike up a conversation about, how are the kids at home? You want to have a kind of a personality or a persona at work that fits the job, fits the area you're working in. If you're working in accounting, kind of present that, keep your topics on work. The final one is the fourth purpose of nonverbal communication is to accompany verbal communication. So if you are really impressed with somebody and your face kind of shows that you're happy and kind of surprised, if you say that really impressed me, the person is probably going to believe you. Your nonverbal communication just repeated what you said. Whereas if you look grouchy and a slouch and you say that, your nonverbal kind of just admits that you really aren't impressed, or in other words, just being sarcastic. And so that's kind of what that can do. Is just you got to have, if you're trying to tell the truth, try to have your nonverbal have the same kind of emotion your verbal does. For question 4, discuss 3 codes of nonverbal communication and how they impact interactive verbal communication. On pages 28 through 29, we have space, which in space, it kind of gets down to Edward T. Hall in 1963 identified 4 zones of space in middle-class U.S. culture. The first is the intimate zone, which is 0 to 18 inches. That's your significant others, your loved ones, your close friends, family. And, those people are close, and, you don't have to talk very loud. You're probably very relaxed. You will talk about more interpersonal things. The personal zone, which is 18 inches to 4 feet, still fairly close. This is for casual acquaintance, casual friends. You're sitting at a table, having a couple drinks, you're kind of talking, but you're still having fun. You're still calm and relaxed. There's the social zone, which is 4 to 12 feet. That's usually where most business is conducted. You keep a very good distance. In the job, you're not going to be sitting there right up close and personal with your boss, because that may make them, really uncomfortable, which could lead to, really bad verbal communication. And then there's the public zone, which is more than 12 feet. It refers to the distance of public speeches. The distance between speaker and audiences is usually more than 12 feet. That's usually when it's, just the speaker is at the podium talking to everyone. It's loud. You're not usually talking back to them much at all, if at all. And so that's kind of how that one impacts that. The next one I chose was environment. This is on page 29. And I more went with one of the 6 ways we perceive the environment. This one being warmth. Warmth is an area that gives you a sense of comfort, like being at home or being at a job you worked for a long time. It'll probably lead to you having, more relaxed, be more, confident in what you're saying or how you're talking than if you were at a new place, like a new job, an interview, where you might follow your words, forget some things, stutter a bit because you're uncomfortable, which can lead to some miscommunication. And then the last one for that I picked was physical appearance, and that is on page 32. And about halfway through it talks about artifacts. People, we say don't judge a book by our cover, but our brains immediately do it. And physical appearance is one way they might do it. If you were to see me outside of work or outside of class, on the street, I usually wear hoodies, jeans, and a beanie. I look like a punk most of the time, because that's just my fashion sense. When I go to work, I have a collared long sleeve shirt, some slacks. It's tucked in. I look nice. I dress to impress. But, there's another thing of clothing, artifacts, jewelry, tattoos, piercings, cologne, things like that. If you have too strong a cologne, people are going to be near you, or they may be put off by you and have a different kind of talking with you. Tattoos, or a bunch of piercings. There's still a lot of people, from what I've experienced, more people from the generation above, like where I'm at, that have a bias towards tattoos and piercings. And that could also lead to a different experience with your verbal communication with them. Even your nonverbal, you maybe even see a look of disgust in their face, which then might mean that you respond in a very derogatory way as well, which can heavily impact what you're doing. So that was my chapter 2 questions. Chapter 3, I picked a differentiation between listening and hearing, and how they're similar, how they're different, and how they are often confused. Page 44 is where you can find the section where it starts on this. And they're similar because without hearing, we can't listen. So, without the ability to hear, we can't listen to someone. So that's kind of how they're similar, but that's about it. They're different because just because you are hearing someone doesn't mean you're listening at all. You can in one ear and right out the other. But also listening includes being observant of nonverbal body language, tone, things like that. You really got to be observant of all these different things. So listening isn't just with your ears, it can also be with your eyes. Listen with your eyes. And the reason they get confused is a lot of people just think, oh, I heard you is the same as listening, which, like I just said, it's not, But you got all these different sayings of like, I heard you loud and clear, or I'm hearing you, or heard you, It's all hearing. Whereas, that doesn't mean you're listening. And then for question 2, discuss at least 2 barriers to listening with a personal example. How did these barriers impact listening in your example? Failing to limit distractions. Big one is in our discussions in general. Sometimes I'll hear my phone vibrate and I'll pick it up and I'll start scrolling through it and realize, oh wait, there was a video going. So I have to pause it, rewind it, listen again so I can actually bring something valid to the discussion. And or my wife will come in and I'll start talking to her and I'll do the same thing. And I have to rewind. It affects my efficiency in being able to bring a valid point to the discussion. And I want to give a valid point and, listening so that other people feel, like I'm doing what I should be doing. The other one was failing to focus on the message. And the big one I put in here was more so the message overload. Message overload is when the speaker gives too much detail and the receiver just fails to comprehend because there's too much. And that can be found on page 49. when this happened to me, I was working at Taco Bell, and one of my bosses would give me like 7 assignments to do. Like, I need to do this, then this, then this, then this, and this. I would remember maybe the first 2 and like the last one, but I wouldn't be able to remember all of it, which then I would have to stop, go tell or go ask again, and get told again what to do. And this impacted my work because, I'd fall behind, I'd slow down, have to do it, catch back up. But a lot of times, because this is a team environment and what I was doing would help the rest of the crew, it would screw up the entire team. So they kind of learned to only, and this wasn't just with me, it was other people there. So the management just, learned to like, okay, do this, and then come back and I have more for you. So we all kind of worked around it, but it would hinder the entire team if one person fell behind because of it. But those were my 4 answers. I hope I explained well enough. And yeah, hopefully this time it has sound and I will get it uploaded. I apologize for that, and I hope you all have a great week. Peace.